What's going on, guys? So I'm over on the test server now, and the new Hydra changes that basically nerfed everything are live. So I want to go over how my team performed, and the team that I'm talking about today is going to be the Obro team that I've worked a very long time on actually getting it to perform properly. Now, I want to give a disclaimer. The cardio in this video accidentally had no, but other than that, every champion is built well, and actually built the same way, if not better, than this video right here. So this video was my Obro team smashing 1 billion plus in Brutal Hydra. Now the run was, I believe, mostly auto, but it wasn't full auto. There was some manual clicking. In general, if I did it full auto, it would end about 800 million damage, which is awesome. For the Hydra rewards, I don't know if it actually shows on the test server or not. Probably doesn't. But for the actual, Hydra Clash rewards at the bottom, you need 1.2 billion points. So if I did Brutal Hydra, I would need about 400 million points because there's a multiplier of 3. It's not horrible. That team blew that well out of the water, which is awesome. It's not the case anymore. The current Hydra situation nerfed my damage by about 60%, which means I no longer get that top chest from this team, which before this team was easily clearing that. But we're going to dive into this and talk a little bit more. So in the old version of it, at the 1,000 turn count, which is what the new version, the new Hydra version ends at. It ends at 1,000 turns. You get the pop-up at 750. Before, I was doing 723,000 damage by turn 1,000. In this new Hydra change, at turn 1,000, we'll just call it 1,000. It's not even quite 1,000, 961. I did 371,000. Now this run, I did a lot more manual clicking. I had to pay much more attention. You'll notice that the head up here has a massive digestion bar. 2 turns for me to free that. And I'll actually show you guys in a moment why my run ended up failing. But if you compare that to this one, you can see that whenever a champion gets eaten, if they even ever get eaten, honestly, there's a Turtle right there. He's about to get eaten 9 turns. Let's see if he gets eaten. Let's fast forward. This is the old version. Remember, this is the old version of Hydra. The new version is new indeed. Let's go ahead and fast forward this more because Turtle's just not getting eaten. The Devour is just not going off. There we go. He gets eaten. 2 turns. We have decreased speed on everybody. We have debuffs up on everybody. There we go. 1 hit. He's broken free. He gets freed extremely quickly. But let's go over to the run that I did on the test server. So now we come back here. We have a champion eaten right now. It was a Poison Cloud, which obviously a horrible combination. Poison Cloud on the head of Suffering with a massive HP pulled free. Even with Turvold, it's not doing anything, honestly. So this ends up just getting eaten, swallowed. The run is not great. My Athorion isn't required this late in the fight, but to be honest, I still want him, of course. Let's go ahead and just rewind it a little bit so we show the run with Athorion still in action. So let me go back to this point right here, where Athorion's still out there. Turvold's the one who's about to be eaten. We'll fast forward at 30 seconds. 2 turns until Turvold's eaten, 1 more turn, and then he's about to get eaten. So we have far less debuffs. The reason for this is that when you destroy a head, it comes back as a decapitated head, and then you can kill a decapitated head. And even without debuffs on the decapitated heads, you can kill them quick enough to get them to respawn. So the heads are moving through very quickly, and debuffs just don't seem to stay out very long. I mean, on the normal run, the old version of it, decapitated heads would stay there for a while. I would sink millions and millions of damage into them, but now you just can't do that. And I'm going to talk about how this is going to affect everybody else in just a little while. But you can see, this is going to be like the most obvious thing. If you're able to make it this far in the run, you're going to start running into this issue. Now, if your team's slower, you may run into this issue even sooner. But Turvold's about to be eaten. This team is made for freeing champs. But do you see that bar? That bar is on a head that has ally protection, nothing else, no buff stolen, nothing like that, no poison cloud, no life barrier. If you thought life barrier was hard enough to break through and then free a champion before, it is a completely different story now. But even with a team built to just instantly free champions, which is what my team is built to do. We have a Thorion with big hits. We have Obro with big hits. Every champion on this team, the Turvold, everybody, is built to do very big hits. We had double weak hits there, unfortunately. But the damage that my Obro's doing, 327,000, doing nothing. 315,000, you can see the green numbers pop up back there, is doing nothing. Was that a 1 million damage? There's no way that was it? Okay, 17. Okay, no, there was no a million damage. 315. Okay, yeah. So she did well over 1 million damage, I'm pretty sure. And it's just not freeing him. Now, we do get around and actually free him, thankfully. But it wasn't nearly as quick as if you look at, like, it was significantly different. In this version, a champion gets eaten, they're instantly freed. Like, the damage dealt is huge, which this is a massive, massive deal. Because my team, while it is specifically tailored to free champions as soon as possible, most players' teams, even if they're going full turn count or even very far into the run, they may be relying on HP burns to free a champion. You can't do that anymore. If you relied on your R-Tech before, freeing champions or whoever it may be, freeing champions with HP burn activations on other heads, all that kind of stuff, it's just simply not happening. Watch how much this Turvold hits for on the Head of Suffering, and look how much his HP is taken down in just a moment. Well, we can't because there's Poison Cloud. Never mind. All that's ruined. There's no chance it's getting out. It is completely useless. Let's see if we can get another example there. Actually, let's see how fast a decapitated head. Just this is the biggest HP, I believe it's the Head of Suffering there. But all these decapitated heads, Turvold hits 600,000 damage, big chunk of it already taken out. And they're not going to stay up very long. Like, they don't even get their first turn before they're dead and are coming back. Now, you can stagger them, like, well, have them come back together, so then only one gets the Serpent's Will, but it's very difficult to consistently do that. You can definitely do it sometimes. I tried to do it with Trunda, and you actually had to... What happened there? Why did this head come back? The head's not even dead. Is it? Did it even get a turn? I don't... What? I have no clue what happened there just now, honestly. I don't know why that head came back just randomly. It didn't get the Serpent's Will, though. The test server was having several bugs throughout, but maybe it's okay. I tried it with Trunda, though, and even with her, she can't nuke them all and then have them all come back at the same time. It just wasn't working like that, unfortunately. It would have been cool for Trunda teams if you could, but it just doesn't. Also, you can't overhit the damage. Like, if the heads, the head doubled HP is, say, 3 million, and you hit it for 6 million, you're only going to do 3 million damage to it. You're not going to do over damage. Like on the normal Hydra, the normal version, the old version, I guess I could say, you could do millions and millions of damage. You could do 30 million damage into it because you're never going to overcap. It has infinite HP. That was honestly fun. But now, it is not at all like that. So you have the Serpent's Will, guaranteeing the Hydra heads to get a turn. Before, they didn't always get a turn. I feel like most of the time they did get a turn. But here, I could actually kill heads. Place in decreased speed was fine. Not this one, but the old version. Place in decreased speed was fine. But now, it's just decreased speed is almost a hindrance. Because if you place decreased speed, the heads are going slower. It's taking them longer to get through Serpent's Will. You're sinking damage into 100% damage mitigation or so essentially how this is going to affect players who are more of that mid-game range so drastically is if you're somebody who, forget even pushing to the 1.2 billion clash points for the top chest there. Say you're somebody who is struggling getting top chest and brutal. You did the Hydra of attrition, basically, war of attrition. You just tried to draw the fight out as long as you could, deal damage slowly over time. It's just not going to work that well anymore for you because you're going to have the digestion getting bigger, getting those shields even quicker. You're going to have your champions being eaten more often, harder to free them. You're going to have a hard time dealing damage into those decapitated heads. A lot of the teams, what they would rely on is slowly burning down the Hydra heads, popping them, and then when they move over to that decapitated phase, that's when, okay, now we can squeeze out this one key damage. This is when we throw all of our best stuff at this, and we go from pushing up, I don't know, 10 million damage over the course of 10 minutes to now we can push out another 3 or 4 million damage in the course of basically no time at all because we can hit into a decapitated head. There are so many accounts that I've done takeovers for where they relied on decapitating heads and then using that time frame to just sink as much stuff into those heads as they could before it came back to actually get their one key damage. So basically, Plarium, in attempting to nerf Trunda, which, by the way, they did successfully. I can give you a quick example of a Trunda team I was testing out. I'll do it on normal to, I guess, show the point. But they essentially nerfed everything. They took my team before that was doing 1 billion damage, and now it's ending on, let's see it, 371 million. A 60% nerf. 371 million damage is the final number of the team that I just ran, which for some comparison, if you want to compare it, I guess, somewhat apples to apples, let's see. Turn 1,000. So let's just say we made it to there. I was doing 722,000. If we took half of 722,000, 722 million, yeah, that's, no, what the heck am I doing? 722,000 times 0.05. Sorry, dang, what in the world? 722. That's 722 million anyways. 784,536 times 0.5. Half would be 361. So the damage I actually did was 371. So it took me down just under half. Let's say it nerfed me by 48% of the turn per turn damage, just flat out. But then when you compare the total damages, it's nerfed me over 60%. Over 60% damage reduction with no changes to the chests on Hydra, with no changes to the personal clash rewards, no changes to any of that. For Trunda, her A2 ability hits far less than before. It's much more difficult to make it actually work. I don't see her teams doing that much damage, to be honest. Maybe they get changed. Maybe they can do a lot of damage in different ways. But for now, it's just going to be very, very difficult. Let me use her A3 first to give her that damage boost so she can actually do some more. But honestly, her A3 is pretty powerful. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be no cheese teams coming from this, because I'm sure there will be. But for now, it's not nearly as easy as it was before, of course, which is fine. I mean, like, Trunda, it's okay if she's nerfed. Like, I have no problem with her being nerfed. This seems a little bit extreme. I think there's different things they could have done to still allow us to have fun with getting super high numbers, but now we're just not going to see those high numbers anymore, because when you're hitting the Hydra heads, you're going to be capped on your damage. So hitting for 10 million, who cares? It's no relevancy to hit for 10 million, because it's just going to kill the head and not overcap the damage anyways. You'll see that in just a moment with Trunda. This is normal Hydra as well. Remember that. Normal Hydra difficulty, where Trunda could be doing millions of damage before. Let's see what she does now. Over here, she hits that head for 2.3 million, everything else for $1 million. Cool, she decapitated everything. It's just like the old times, right? Just like the old times, but there's more to it. Now, we do the A2. We have 2 Force Affinity heads. It's not going to be great. We'll try to click those or try to do the A2 on those heads. But she's going to be hitting for the max amount of HP that's on the head anyways. So this might be a couple million maybe, but just not nearly as much. Granted, that was a weak hit. Let's try one that's not so weak hit, hopefully. We'll try it on a head that's not decapitated. Even if we hit this one, though, it's going to be a low amount of damage on this other head because it's like a quarter of its HP left. So Trina does her thing. 1.6 million. Maybe that's the remainder. But if it wasn't, either way, the damage, she cannot overcap it from what I've noticed. I forget what the exact number of HP that these heads have is, honestly. So for Trunda, it looks like the damage is not capped, possibly. That she is able to overkill the decapitated heads, but let me make sure that's actually a thing, because if we hit this head, hits for 2 million, that's its max HP, I think. The Head of Mischief on normal, if you look at the Hell Hades calculator, it is be 1.2 million. Is that what it hit for? It may have. So it hit for the max HP, even if it was low HP, which is kind of interesting. We weren't hitting for those crazy numbers like before, though. I mean, my Trunda now would hit for way more than that. So it does seem to be capped in some way. Not really sure what way it is capped, though, honestly. Not for sure how it's working. I guess we can have some more information about that very soon. Hopefully it comes out. But this Trunda definitely hit for way more than that on normal, easily wrecking all the heads. So there's been some big changes made for her. But you definitely can't, on like a ally attack, you're not going to do over the damage. Like if, for example, you have Teox who hits a head and kills it from decapitated, nobody's going to join in. The champion with the highest crit damage is not going to join that attack. So honestly, guys, the changes made to Hydra are going to be basically a disaster for a lot of players, I think. Now, I kind of want to build a free-to-play-ish team to see how it performs. Like if we were going to go with hard Hydra and do something like an old... I wish I had Thor to test him out. But if you're doing the teams like Artak plus Newt, all that kind of stuff, it's just not going to do as good as before. I've seen some people talking about how max HP may be more meta. I don't think that really makes a whole lot of sense, though, because if you're having champions who can hit very high numbers, then it won't matter if they're max HP champs or not. They're going to pop the heads and then kill the decapitated heads anyways. So, I mean, Acrizia will be more competitive than before. these max HP champions will be more competitive just because everybody else has been brought down, essentially. Like having millions of damage won't really matter. So you can build your champions for more sustainability, more speed. Do you even want to do more speed? Because then Serpent's Will just soak up more of your damage, basically. Maybe you just have your champions slow. I honestly have no clue. It's going to be a lot different than it is currently because of how much stuff is changing, honestly. Like, decreased speed, I'm almost considering not even bringing it. Because in this fight, you can see that if we have decreased speed up on a decapitated head, well, it's almost useless because... not decapitated head. On the Serpent's Will, like if Chris gets decreased speed on this head, now all of a sudden his head's keeping 100% soaking of my damage for even longer, which is not what I want to happen. Not at all what I want to happen, actually. So we got the decreased speed on there. Now it's decreased speed. So now it's just going slower. Now he's just soaking up more of that damage. Just soaking up more of my sweet damage that I was hoping to actually kill him with. Now it's irrelevant because he just ate somebody and he's about to get Poison Cloud as well. Maybe. Actually, no. Maybe he's not. That looks like a pretty big Devour bar, though. Not huge. Nowhere near what we're about to see, though. But it is still pretty big. Now, in general, I think these are bad, I think. I think just bad changes. Not being able to kill a head through Serpent's Will was already hard enough with 75% damage reduction. But now with 100% damage reduction, it really is unfortunate. I know why they did it. Was with Trunda to fix her, which is understandable. There's other changes they could make. I've heard things like not allowing them to have buffs, in other words, or just specifically no Poison Cloud. That'd be fine. No Poison Cloud allowed, or at least allowed to be stripped. That wouldn't be as huge of a deal. But having the Head of Suffering go from 100% damage reduction into Poison Cloud means now somebody gets eaten, 2-turn duration, well, they're most likely going to be swallowed because there's no way you're going to be able to free them, even if there's only 1 turn left. Having a bar of Devour that big, that is humongous. I'm not able to free my champions. Like, there's no way. There's just no way, especially if it's eating my damage dealer. And if you're running teams with 1 damage dealer, I'll figure out something, guys, that I can do to get some teams working for people. I'll do my best, whatever I can get going. But honestly, this is very disheartening, especially seeing a team that I worked so long on. A lot of hours on this team trying to get to work. I did several videos on this team as well, or a team very similar to it. And now it's just nerfed by basically 40%. So 1 billion Hydra run, auto brutal 652, brutal Hydra. But yeah, this one was finally doing 1 billion, and now all of a sudden it's doing nothing. So there we go, guys. That is, this Obro team will break 1 billion. No Cardiel. I do have Cardiel now, which is even better than this version. I forget what my top score was, but I want to say it was like 1.5 billion. It was definitely higher than that with Cardiel over Padrig. And now this is what we still got, guys. So let me know what you think. Let me know how you're going to approach Hydra now. Is there a difference that you're going to do with your teams to make them perform better? I'm interested in knowing because I still want to make this work. But now I'll probably just shoot for the top personal reward chest, not go too much past that. The main players that's going to hurt is the players who are going to the end of the runs, having a very long run, and getting the top chest. It's going to be a lot harder to get that now. Honestly, if you relied on decapitated heads to do your damage, you're just not going to be able to rely on that much anymore. Let's take a look at this Obro team real quick that I had up and see the damage that I'm putting into these heads. So with my Obro, I would kill the heads, and then I would essentially just use her to 424. Okay, that's good stuff. Not for sure why I'm pausing so much. Kind of annoying. 1 million damage there, over 1 million. And then Obro is going to be throwing out more. So we've already done over 1 million damage. There's another 1 million. So that's like 3 or 4 million damage to that head. That head on the new version of Hydra would have been dead. 400,000 put into there. We've already done, okay, there's another 500,000. There we go. I mean, we've done probably, I don't know, 7 million damage into that head, at least. I have no clue exactly, but at least 7 million probably, which is well over double what we can do now on the heads. And it comes back, I can still do damage to it. It's not a big deal. Another thing is a lot of times Hex, you could kill the heads a little bit quicker with the Hex shared damage, like you just saw there. See that Turtle? Watch what he does. He hits this head, the decapitated head, and the damage from that goes onto the Head of Mischief because of the Hex. you were able to essentially kill the other heads with Hex on it if you were single target hitting a decapitated head for a lot of damage. Like, I'm basically killing the Head of Mischief without too much focusing on the Head of Mischief. Turvold's about to do it again. Puts some decent damage into it. Nothing crazy, but it's pretty decent. But you can't do that now because decapitated heads no longer stay up forever. Like, I've sunk way more damage than double that thing's max HP. Way more already. It's good to see those numbers. Like, that was one point. That was crazy numbers from Turvold just now. That was like 3 million damage. Not quite, but relatively close. That would easily just decapitate the heads now, or make it come back up with 100% damage reduction. Obviously, that's where the 60% damage comes from. Look at this. This team doesn't fail to champions being eaten. This team was literally made so champions never get devoured. But yet, this bar is half the whole Hydra's HP. Literally nothing you can do about that. And then Turvold just gets smacked, just eaten up. GG's Turvold. Let's see. He hits it for like no damage. Either way, guys, I don't know. It's a mess. I think it's crazy. I don't understand why they did that, especially since the points for everything else haven't been changed. If the points got scaled down, maybe they do. Maybe they scale it down, and then I won't be as upset about it. I don't care. I mean, I do care. I like seeing big numbers, but we can still see big numbers, just a new perspective on that. I guess it's all relative. But if they scale all this stuff down, then it's okay. If they don't, then it's just making it harder for everybody, and that makes no sense to me. Because there's going to be plenty of players, and you can comment down below if you're one of them, who were one-keying stuff, and now you're not. Now you just can't, but you were before. And now maybe you're doing 10 million damage, and like, why am I doing such little damage? Like, this is the wrong way. Wrong way, Plarium. Take it easy, guys.